There we go.
Hey,
I
here
can
we
hear
are.
you.
Yeah, man. How's it going?
I'm pretty good, man. I can't complain. It took a lot to try to figure out how to use Zoom. I hadn't used Zoom in quite a while.
Well, thanks for taking time to do it, man. What? Yeah, there we go. There's the video. Looking good, man.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Let's document this off the top, man. I did not plan it this way, but the NCAA tournament's going to get rolling tonight with the play-in games.
Yeah.
Are you watching it tonight?
Oh yeah, probably. I'll definitely
Okay.
be tuning in.
Okay.
I'll definitely be tuning in.
Yeah, I didn't know if to me, if I got into the playing game, I would feel partly like I wasn't in the tournament yet. Like you have to win that one in order to get in,
Yeah, true. But this is a part of the tournament though.
technically.
The
Yeah,
first round is it's a field of 68 teams is what they don't tell you. But
yeah, yeah,
I think if you haven't been there, that the play in is to me is just that much more special because it's like everything's on the line, You're not guaranteed anything.
yeah. And I also think of it from like a network standpoint. All of those channels are just trying to make more money off of
At the
players.
end of the day, at the end of the day.
Yeah. I know you from your time at Butler, spent one season there. But
Yeah.
to get started from the beginning, man, what's some of your earliest memories playing basketball?
Earliest memories. Oh man, that's easy. I got my first little Tykes goal and I just remember dunking it all the time. And I had that goal for about 2 or 3 years. And once I got a little bit taller, I didn't have to jump or like anything to use it. I went outside and I put it on like this clothesline thing that we had in my backyard. And I kind of like um got my dad to like tape it on there so it would be higher.
Right.
And I just remember always just trying trying to run from the far back of the backyard and sprint to the rim to see how far I could take off and dunk it. So I've been playing basketball since I was about 6 years old.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Who were some of your favorite players growing up?
man. To name a few, I would say Ray Allen, uh, Tracy McGrady for sure. I had a lot of his jerseys and a lot of his shoes, and I used to watch Ray Allen because I feel like he kind of taught me how to play basketball just from watching all his YouTube videos of how to shoot and his work ethic. And it's funny, I got to meet Ray Allen about 6 years ago at the American Athletic Conference tournament when I was at Memphis.
Wow.
And I
Okay.
and I got to talk to him and I told him exactly what I just told you about how I watched all his YouTube videos and he was just telling me like, man, that he appreciated that, and he was like, the only reason you know me is because of that, because I worked so hard to get to where I am today, so you can know who Ray Allen is, and that was a moment I won't ever forget.
I bet, man. I always liked him, and he got game. Getting to meet Jesus Shellsworth is a cool thing on
I
itself.
didn't look
But
at it that way.
I was a big fan of Reggie Miller growing up, who
I
Ray
mean, you're
Allen eventually passed. As the leading shooter. So
yeah.
um,
Did you grow up in Indianapolis?
I did, man. I was a Pacers fan through and
You
through.
had, I mean, you kind of
Yeah.
have to be, yeah.
But see, being a Pacers fan, I'm also disappointed by like the Bulls and the Cavaliers. I've had my heart broken by first Michael Jordan and now LeBron over and over again. So
Yeah.
that's
So
kind of the
let me
unfortunate.
ask you this quick question: which
Yeah.
heartbreak has been worse, from Jordan or from LeBron?
See, I was too young to really take the full bit of Jordan, and his heartbreak. So, but I've been alive and well to witness LeBron and his domination from the time that I've been in eighth grade till now. He's been kicking the
Yeah.
Pacers' ass. So,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
in your mind, most people do boil it down to LeBron or Michael.
Right.
Who's the greatest of all time in your view?
I always answer this question this way. And
Okay.
hear me out, okay? Jordan is the GOAT. LeBron is the boat, the best of all time. And
Mm.
I say that because I don't think LeBron James can reach a level of greatness. And if you hear some clacking, that's my husky in the background. He's I don't think LeBron can reach that level of greatness from like the media. Nobody talked about Jordan like they do LeBron. He wasn't like scrutinized like LeBron is. Clothing, shoes, apparel.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron will never sell that much merch as, from his own brand. And you got the 6 for 6. Nobody can ever say Jordan lost in the finals. So I just think that level of greatness is it's far fetched in people's mind to reach Jordan. Like, oh, LeBron, he's soft. He left teams. He left this. He left that. You know what I'm saying? So, but I look at it as LeBron is the best player of all time. There is no player more complete than LeBron James, in my opinion. What about you? How do you feel about
Boy,
that?
LeBron's the best player I've ever seen. I mean, it. Period.
Same.
Like he wins the eye test too. Like if you had Michael Jordan and him on the same floor. Again, I grew up with LeBron, but personally, he wins the eye test to me. If you
No
had to,
question.
if you had to ask God to create a basketball player, I think he would look like LeBron James.
Yeah, he looked just like him.
Yeah, and do you see him winning another championship? I mean, the Lakers are sort of in dire straits right now. So
Yeah, I think it's possible. I don't know if it's possible in LA. I kind of question Anthony Davis's what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say his toughness, but his build. I don't know if he can stay healthy, consistent, or long enough to compete for an NBA championship, especially with Durant moving to the West.
yeah.
Denver's good now. You always have to worry about the Warriors.
Mm.
It's Giannis is still what, 27. The
Yeah.
Celtics are great. Embiid and Harden are figuring it out. So I think it's just a long road to a championship in the NBA for LeBron, at least.
You know what surprises me? I think Miles Turner is still not 30 yet. Like he's still 28,
It's
29.
insane. It's insane. I actually, when I came to visit Butler, and I can't remember whose house we went to first, but Miles Turner was there.
Oh,
and I
okay.
and I met him, and he was in, like, he played for the Pacers at the time, and he asked me how old I was, and I told him. He was like, "Wow, I'm still 19." I said, "What?"
Yeah, man. I mean, he finally got paid by the Pacers, but we're gonna get into your recruitment at Butler and all that. But your initial recruitment, talk about that. Like, when did you first start getting notice for your game?
It took a while, man. I was a very late bloomer. I didn't get, I felt like recruitable until my senior year of hush. I didn't get recruitable until my senior year of high school. And then I only had one scholarship offer to Southeastern Louisiana.
Okay.
And I had to go there. And I went there, and I just didn't feel like it was right for me, the right place, or a place I wanted to be. I kind of had to settle for it. So I decided to go to junior college and be recruited again, give myself a chance to be recruited by other schools. So I went there for a year and a half, and I got recruited by a lot of mid-major schools. I had some high major schools in there, but I ultimately decided to go to Memphis just because it was my dream school. Honestly, I grew up a Tiger fan.
I do want to ask about your community college experience, just to connect the dot, because you're from Waynesboro, Mississippi, and you went to
Correct.
East Mississippi, which is
Mm-hmm.
that the same school from the Last Chance U
It
doc
is.
series? Okay, I didn't know if it was or
It is.
not.
Yep.
So are they known for basketball and that sort of thing too? Is there just a football powerhouse there?
It's actually both. And at the time that I went there, they had a bunch of different guys on the basketball team being recruited at a high level. So my
Yeah.
first practice, Bob Huggins was there from West Virginia. And then the second day, the assistant coach from Gonzaga was in the building. In little old school of Mississippi. So I'm seeing that.
Sure.
I'm like, man, I got a chance. So it was kind of like motivation for me to see that these guys are being recruited. And I was redshirted at the time, so I didn't do anything but practice. I didn't get to play in games or travel.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing all these coaches come in and out, and those two coaches was just to name a few. Like it was far more coaches than I can probably remember that would come through. Even on the football side, it was nothing to see Nick Saban or the coach at Mississippi State at the time. I can't remember, Dan Mullen. It
Right.
was nothing to see those guys walking around on campus trying to find somebody.
Did you watch the series yourself and see all that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know a couple guys that were on the series.
Okay. And what'd you think of they did basketball too, East LA. What'd you think of that program?
Didn't watch it. Didn't
No?
watch it. Didn't watch it. I couldn't connect to it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Probably brings back some bad memories. I wouldn't want to be in that
Yeah,
situation. But Memphis, you got there. I was thinking about it. First, John Calipari was there and had that whole thing with Derrick Rose, and now they have Penny there. But you were kind of in between that whole thing.
yeah.
How would you describe your experience at Memphis while you were there?
I think I got there at the end of an era. I think I got there at the end of Josh Pastner's tenure, so he kind of dealt with a lot more stress than any normal NCAA college coach probably would want to deal with.
Yeah.
We weren't playing up to expectation. He had, a lot of pressure to get, some hometown kids in school, and he ended up having to make some promises
Mm.
for those recruits. They hired, I don't know if you remember Dedrick Lawson and Keelan Lawson. They ended up going to Memphis and transferring to Kansas. But they had, I don't want to say they had to, but they hired their dad on staff for them to, highly titled recruits to come there. So it was kind of like a lot of mixed pieces. But overall, I'm kind of sad internally that, it's going to be I played on the Memphis team that nobody's going to talk about, really,
Mm-hmm.
because of, we didn't win at a high level. And we definitely had the talent. We definitely had the talent. I mean, that's probably the most talented team that I played on, of all teams that I've played on, that Memphis team. But we just couldn't figure it out for whatever reason. We just couldn't figure it out to win at a high level. But it's so special to me that I got to live a dream that I actually got to play and graduate from my dream school. So
Mm.
it always means a lot.
What are some life lessons that you take away just as a student athlete?
You got to be resilient. You got to be
Yeah.
resilient and persistent. Uh, if you want to make something out of it, because it's not always gonna go your way. Class is hard. Practice is hard. So, I mean, if you really want to make the most of your college experience, you have to be able to deal with, rejection, deal with being benched, deal with all types of different things to be successful, and you can't let it stop you. You gotta keep moving forward, accept your role, whatever your role may be, uh, and you have to be good in the classroom, because there is a standard within the NCAA that, hey, if you don't have this GPA, you can't play,
Yeah.
and it's just
Yeah.
as simple as that. So, I think you have to be resilient and persistent in what you want, and it's all about what you want out of your college experience too.
Yeah.
So,
As far as an educational standpoint, I've read horrible things about like North Carolina, Chapel Hill, forcing players to take Swahili so they could stay eligible. I mean, was there anything like that where you were limited in what you could pursue because of basketball and the commitments that you had?
I would say yes, because I initially wanted to my first school messed me up with that. I wanted to get into sport medicine, no, physical therapy. I wanted to get into physical therapy, but they didn't
Right.
have it at the program. So I
Oh.
ended up having to take something else, and then I transferred to junior college, graduated from there with general studies. They didn't have a specific degree there for me to obtain. So I went to Memphis, and it was just like, well, if you do physical therapy, you'll be here 4 or 5 years. I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna do sport and leisure management. And I did that, and I got my degree in sport and leisure management. But I do understand where some colleges would have their athletes in Swahili or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be, because some of those schools, hey, look, you only gonna be here for a year or two,
Right.
and we want to make this easy for you so you can, focus more of your time on basketball.
What would you say was a typical day for you from start to finish to give people context of like just how loaded your schedule was?
Man, I would say class at 8 a.m. I do remember my Memphis schedule pretty easily. Class at 8 a.m., class at 9:30. Then I would get out of that class at 11. and I would go eat. Probably didn't even eat breakfast because who's waking up an hour or 2 hours before 8
Yeah.
a.m. I'm waking up in
Yeah.
enough time to brush my teeth, wash my face, and get to class on time. So I would eat around 11, practice at 1. So I would take a cat nap and go to practice at 1 to probably about 3:30, 4 o'clock. Study hall afterwards. But you have
Yeah.
once you obtain a certain GPA, you don't have to go to study hall anymore. So I had that GPA and I got out of study hall. But after that, it's just I got homework. I got stuff to do for the next day. So it's like, okay, let me after practice at 4, I get out at 4, let me ice my knees or get in the ice tub and stretch. So I'm out of the gym probably like 5. And after 5, I go home, shower, probably got some homework, paper to write, this or that. So I'm in the
Mhm.
bed probably about 9 when I get done with everything that I gotta do. So and I would say it's pretty hard to maintain a social life, doing all of that
Yeah.
stuff.
I was gonna say, man, doesn't leave a lot of time for girlfriends or anything of that sort.
Nah, not at all.
Was social media a big problem being a basketball player? I mean, when it's going well, it might be cool, but when it's going poorly, it's a little distracting.
Oh man, that's a great question. That is a great question. I want to hear your thoughts on what you think
Well,
about
uh,
social media.
I'm only going off the experience that I can take from Joey Brunk being at Butler, but
Yeah, that's my guy.
you know, uh, I saw, when things are going well, he's trending in town. And when things are going poorly, everybody's talking about him, good right or otherwise, on the radio and everything else.
Right,
So
right.
it's, it's unfair, I think, to let a kid 18 to 22 be the subject of what's going on. But that's what it is, especially in Indiana. We're basketball crazy.
Yeah,
So
for sure. I didn't see much of it at Butler. I,
yeah.
I guess because we won at a high level. Winning fixes everything in sports.
Yeah.
You
Truly.
hear people say that, and you don't realize it until you are losing. That
Yeah. Right.
winning does fix everything. But when I was at Memphis, man, those fans are tough. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And I had to, and social media then wasn't even as big as it is now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I would, just I would get bored sometimes and go search my name on Twitter and see what people were saying. And sometimes you really have to get away from that. Like you really cannot do that because people will drag you. People will say you stink, you suck. I've had DMs after lost games. You can't shoot and all this wild stuff. And it's
Uh-huh.
it's kind of crazy that people take sport that they're not playing
Right.
as serious as they do. You hear people all the time saying they get death threats and people have to deactivate their accounts. And that's nowadays. I don't deal with it so much nowadays, but it's kind of just insane that people take it that far.
Well, I was talking to Tyler Weidman about it, and I said, like, it has to be difficult for you to take criticism from people that have never played basketball at that level. Like, it's not the same thing.
Come on, man. Come
Yeah.
on. Or somebody that's not even athletic. Like
Yeah.
you sit behind your Twitter account eating donuts all day and you think you can call me trash. Like imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine that, bro.
Also, this would get to me just because, and maybe when you're on the court, it doesn't seem that way, but was it pressure playing on national TV, playing on CBS, ESPN, a place that everyone can access?
Oh, I didn't necessarily feel any pressure to be honest. Like when I was in a game, that's one of the places or the few moments in life where you can just really be in the moment. Because to me, the game was so big and the game meant so much to me that I didn't think about the crowd. I didn't think about the cameras or anything. I didn't see like visually I saw it, but in my mind I didn't see it. Like it was
Mm,
it was more about winning the game or just playing the best that I could
right.
uh to win the game. It was never about TV or anything like that. You obviously feel the energy from the crowd. But even when the crowd talk, people screaming down at the court, I don't hear it. Like I'm just that focused in the game or that much in the moment that I don't pay attention to things like that.
Was it easy to hear teammates on the floor, or did it get loud?
It just depends. It just depends.
Okay.
Well, like play calls, I would, you know, on your coaches in on defense, and once they score, we get a rebound. He yells out a play, or you're on your coach's side on offense, so he can yell to play. So,
Right.
or you got hand signals and all of those different types of things. But yeah, I mean, if something needed to be said, it was nothing to get in touch with one of my teammates to figure out what the hell I needed to be doing.
And forgive me, there's been a revolving door at Butler for coaches. Did
Oh
Holtman
man.
Holtman recruit you originally, and you played under him?
Yes, I did. The first coach I heard from though was Ryan Peden. He's at Illinois State now.
Okay.
Ryan Peden. Yeah, I think he's at Illinois. He's the head coach at Illinois State now. But he was the first one to actually call me.
Okay.
Uh, I was actually fishing at the time. Yeah, he called me while I was fishing, and I didn't answer the phone because I didn't. It was a Cincinnati number, and I'm like, I wonder who this could be. And then I got the voice. I listened to the voicemail. I'm like, oh, it's Butler. Okay, wow,
Yeah.
all right,
So had you heard of Butler before being recruited?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I watched them play in the tournament when they had
Yeah.
Kellen Dunham and Rose Jones and Andrew Schrabbis, Tyler Keelan. When Big Cat and Keelan were sophomores, or yeah, I think they were sophomores. So
Right.
I had watched them before, and obviously everybody knows about Gordon Hayward, Shelvin Mack, and Matt Howard and them. So uh,
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a basketball nerd, so I pretty much know of just about every school in the country.
Well, and I feel like it would be pressure too to play at Butler because there wasn't football in the fall, and
Mm-hmm.
you're also Joey told me this. You're also the biggest money grab for the school, and it pays for everything
No
else.
question, no question.
How much of that was factoring into your mind game to game?
Uh, Man, it's something you knew though. It's something you absolutely
Yeah,
knew because once you get to campus, people cherish the Hinkle Field House. It's everything the people on campus at Butler and the people in Indianapolis who are Butler fans. If you if you're a Hoosier, you don't give a damn, you know. But
yeah,
all the Butler fans, have you seen Hinkle? Have you been to Hinkle yet? How was Hinkle? How was Hinkle? People love that place, and you feel it once you get in there and you get on that court and you start playing. You can connect to the history, so you know that basketball is the draw on campus, and you know how special that program is to those people. And I would say I didn't feel, like I said, I didn't feel any pressure, man.
right.
I just I only got to be there 1 year too. So,
Yeah.
maybe if I had been there multiple years, I would really know the full extent of it. But having been there 1 year, it was just like I tried to take in as much as I possibly could while I was there.
Is that tough too? Being there only 1 year.
Yes, man. It was
Yeah,
extremely tough because like the season was over with just like that. It was
yeah,
over.
right,
And it was like, damn, I don't get another turn. I don't get another swing. I don't get, and then like soon as the season's over, it's just like
right.
you looking around like you got your everyday schedule, you got practice, you got team meetings, you hanging out with your boys, and now everybody, seniors kind of just go their separate ways while they start back practicing again, and you just on the outside looking in. It sucks.
Right. I mean, the thing that gets to me is these old folks will say there's something to be said about loyalty and sticking with your school. Like, just go where the best opportunity is for you. Isn't that what we're all trying to do for us eventually? Like, I don't
Right.
understand this need to stay loyal to laundry. I don't get that.
Yeah, facts,
Yeah,
facts. I everybody looks at my situation and like, oh man, you moved from this school to that school to that
right,
school, but I honestly felt like I had a reason to move to each place that I did. My first school, it was the only scholarship I had, so what else I'm gonna do?
yeah,
I wanted to give myself another chance to actually be recruited. Who doesn't want to be recruited? Okay. I go to EMCC and it's like that's a 2-year school. You can't stay there
right,
for a long time. The point is to leave. So I signed with Memphis and I played there. And after my junior year, it was a mass exodus.
mm.
Head coach leaves, all the assistants leave. And I'm just like, well, I'm gonna leave too. I want to jump on a train that's already moving. I want to play in the NCAA tournament. So
Right.
I mean, I still love Memphis with all my heart, but it was just like, do I want to sacrifice my senior year to
Right.
kind of rebuild in a sense?
Well, and Joey dealt with this. Is it tough to play for a coach that you're not his guy? You weren't recruited by him. I feel like that would be tough too, you know?
Yeah, that you see that so much, man. And nowadays I feel like it's worse because coaches can get a job and they can rebuild they can rebuild a full team through the transfer portal. They
Yeah.
don't need any of the kids that's coming back. Hey, all y'all can go find a new school. I'm finna get in this portal. I'm finna get me 10 guys. I just saw Southern Miss do it. Because last year they went over, I think they won maybe 6 games all year.
Right.
This year they win 25.
Well, but see, does it impact younger players or
Yes,
veteran players more? Because through the transfer portal, you could get 10 grown men and not have to
exactly.
recruit 19-year-olds anymore.
I talked to a coach not too long ago. I'm not gonna say his name or where he coaches at, but he said nobody wants the high school kid anymore
Yeah.
because I can go in this portal and I can go get somebody who's done it before, who knows how to operate on the college campus. So I think it's unless you're a ESPN top 100 kid who
Right.
gets all the attention, it's kind of gonna be hard to be a late bloomer in high school trying to find a big time scholarship unless you're just that special. Because nowadays you can go get Mississippi State's backup point guard who they don't like, who didn't play much and wants a new a change of scenery. Let's
Hmm.
just go get him.
I was trying to think too. You as a point guard, like you're running the show. You're trying to get people in the right place. What are some plays that got you hype in a game, man? Trying to think.
Uh, plays got me hyped. I think when everybody's kind of just in unison and the ball moves,
Yeah.
we're sharing the ball. That I like that part of the game where everybody's kind of touching it and everybody's, a part of something. Because I've been on teams where I just stood in the corner for 90% of the game. I probably got the ball or got involved about 10% of the game, but
Right.
and it's kind of hard. You got to trick yourself to always be locked in and play your role. You know what I mean? So my favorite part of the game and gets me hype is when everybody's kind of contributing and everybody's energy level is high. Because I'm kind of I'm very empathetic, so I feel when somebody else isn't doing something.
Word.
So
Yeah.
if such and such having a bad game, I feel that, and I would want him to like, hey, pick it up, let's go, type stuff.
Did you ever have someone who was selfish and took away from the team element on the floor? I'm sure you did. I mean, but you know what I'm saying, man. It can drag down an entire unit.
Yeah, absolutely it can. And I've seen coaches
Yeah.
that ride with guys like that just because coaches feel like that guy needs more attention. He needs more support than this who works his ass off every day, who don't need somebody to kind of push him. And me and Joey Brunkett talked about this a lot from his college experience, how you
Yeah.
know, coaches kind of give the guy who don't go as hard, but he's extremely talented. Like he's got all the talent, but just no work ethic, doesn't want to be in practice, don't want to hard like the only thing he wants to do is play games.
Right.
And they
Yeah.
give them that much more support. But the guy that comes in every day ready to work, but maybe not as talented, he don't get as many shots and he's not as involved because the coach is like, well, he's self-motivated. I don't need to be boosting him up or, supporting him as much as the guy who has got all this talent, but a poor work ethic. It's kind of reverse psychology, man.
Well, and something that would always be frustrating to me is because I know Joey's capable of scoring more, is like when you're a post player, you're dependent on a guard getting you the ball. I mean,
Yep.
um, was it sort of frustrating to have to fulfill a role that you weren't necessarily comfortable with, or you're dependent on someone else to get to that point? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would say so. And if I could go back to my recruitment, I would just ask the questions that I didn't ask in my past. I would just ask them, what role do you see me playing on this team? I would just ask them. So shooting is my best ability. Am I just gonna be a guy that stands and spaces the floor for other guards to penetrate? Or am I going to be a shooter that you actually use? It's a difference.
Right.
It's a difference in basketball. So I would just ask more questions because shooting nowadays is kind of
Yeah.
people use it more than they did. But back when I played, I was more of a spacer guy, like stand right here on the wing or in the corner and pass the ball to the post and stay ball side so they don't dig. That type of guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and so here's the reality about recruiting and just college sports in general that I didn't realize. Aren't scholarships sort of renewed year to year? I mean, as much as they want to say it's not competition based, you are playing for your spot year after year, aren't you?
You absolutely are, and that's what, again, like you said, that's something that they don't tell you, and they may not even bring up unless
Right.
they want to get rid of you. But you got to be that much of a problem or a nuisance for somebody to say, you know what, we're not even renewing your scholarship. You go find somewhere else to play. You really got to do that to yourself, because during my college tenure, I didn't anybody say, hey, we're renewing your scholarship this year. I never heard that.
No. Okay. Do you have a pregame ritual? I have to do this or something's gonna go wrong.
You know what? Players are so superstitious, and I'm one of them. If I had a bad game, I'm throwing that pregame routine in the trash. If if I had a good game, let's try to do the same. Let's try to eat the same thing. Let's try to stretch the same way. Let's try to take the same pregame shots
Uh-huh.
until this pregame routine busts. So I was willing to pivot on pregame routines. I wasn't loyal to any pregame routine. If you help me, I help you, type thing. So if I had a bad game, to hell with that pregame routine. We gonna mix it up.
As far as long as I've known him, Joey's always had a peanut butter sandwich before the game. What was pregame meal you typically have?
Mm, that's tough. I would say some type of pasta. I would always eat pasta before the game. Even overseas when I would have games, unless the game was early, which I doubt it ever is, because they play at 7 or 8 p.m. over there overseas. So
Yeah.
it would always be some type of pasta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and you said you're playing. Are you still playing internationally, Avery, or no?
Yeah, I not currently because in November I broke my foot. So I
Oh,
came home to rehab. So now I'm just waiting on an opportunity to go finish the season. I've heard from a few teams, but nothing has transpired yet. It's still 2 months left of the season, and it's summer leagues in Canada and New Zealand, so it's gonna be opportunities to come forth. I just gotta stay
yeah.
patient and stay in shape.
The NBA typically runs from like October to June with the finals and everything.
Yep.
Does are the international leagues about the same as far as the calendar, or
No,
can it
you over
change?
there from August to May, 10 months,
Okay, wow, yeah,
10 months. So yeah, it's the long haul.
yeah. All right. Where have you played to this point in your career?
Greece, Finland, Sweden, Ukraine,
Wow.
and Belgium.
Is it tough to go from place to place? There's not a lot of stability, and like they probably don't even offer multi-year contracts
They don't.
in those leagues, do they?
That's the sad
Yeah.
part. Unless
Yeah.
you go there and play extremely well,
Okay.
or get hurt, they like if let's say I played all year there and I got hurt, severely for the last game,
Right.
they'd be willing to bring you back, but it'd probably be at the same price because teams don't like to pay more for the player. So if I played well here for this dollar,
Uh-huh.
you go get money from somewhere else. We gonna pay the next guy the same amount you just made. So they're a lot of teams aren't willing to give you extra money because overseas, if you play well, that means you're probably gonna get a better job. It's kind of like you work your way up the pyramid. So they don't do multi-year contracts that much, but they are out there for sure.
Well, and just in regard to compensation, do you get? I've heard this. Do you have like all of your bills paid for too. Like it's not just salary; you get all your bills paid for. So essentially, you're living your life when you're not playing basketball.
Yeah, I mean it's a very normal lifestyle. I would say it
Okay.
would be just like working a job, but it's basketball. You know, they do pay for your apartment, and sometimes they give you a car. It just depends on where you go,
Okay.
and the only thing you pay for is really food and gas and whatever bills you may have at home. You know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it can be a very nice lifestyle, but it's stressful. It's a very stressful, lonely lifestyle. Like you have to accept that and work around that and be tough enough mentally not to fold with all the pressure that it comes with and being lonely or not having personal support there with you. It's a very tough lifestyle, I would say.
What's the language barrier like? I feel like that would be tough too.
The only language barrier I really had was Ukraine. Like people don't really speak English, if at all.
Okay.
And when I was in Ukraine. But Finland is a very modern country. Sweden, Belgium, they were all modern countries that most people will speak English. Most people. So
Yeah.
it was just like, okay, this isn't so bad. It's freaking cold, but it's not so bad.
Joey's talked about Pizza Hut in Poland and stuff. I mean, fast food tastes the same, right? I
It's
mean,
actually better.
oh,
I
okay.
guess yeah, because I think Europe has regulations on what you can put in food, and I don't think America does. I think in America you could just, hey, as long as it don't kill them,
Right.
you can put it in there. Like if they'll probably gain a little bit of weight, but
Yeah.
it's just different regulations about what you can put in food, which is kind of crazy if you think about it.
Well, and with all the different places that you've lived abroad, things are certainly crazy in the U.S. right now. I mean, would you want to move to a different place entirely if you could?
If I had to, I could for sure. I think when you're gone from the US, you look back at where you're from and you see the news and the media and how they cover certain things, and it kind of changed your perspective on America. You know,
Right.
you got to be careful with how much media you consume is what I'm saying. Because
Yeah.
if you're on the outside looking in, and I've talked to Europeans, um, about it, and they just say, "Man, America is just so unsafe," and I'm like, I haven't had any problems.
Right. Nope.
I live my everyday life pretty much unbothered. You know
Right.
what I mean? So it's just like the media tell you the sky's falling in America. You know what I mean? It's just
Not
like
wrong.
what? Well, so I'm sitting at home right now, just like ain't nothing, ain't shit going on.
Oh man.
So
Well, see, I come from that business, man, and it's 24 hours, and then we're on to the next thing. Like nothing stays in the cycle anymore because it's just about generating headlines.
what part of the media? Like, what was your position within the media?
Well, I grew up in it, man. My dad was a singer and entertainer, and then I went
Oh,
on
really?
to UIndy to do radio and TV, and had a little bit. I was a producer in Indy for a year before I that job crapped out. That's the other thing. There's like no stability in media
Yeah.
too. So like you're stressed while you have your job, and then even when you don't have your job, you're stressing about it because you just have to tune in. It's part of daily life here. So
What
yeah,
that's interesting that you say that.
yeah.
What How do you make it within media? Is it just
Knowing people.
I
Yeah.
was just about to say the
Yeah.
amount of networking that you do to know people and get in touch with people, and is
Hell,
it
interviewing you. If Joey wasn't my cousin, it would be a lot more difficult to probably get you on the show. That everything that I've grown up with to this point, I've tried to use to the best of my ability. But yeah, it's not easy if you don't have a Rolodex to call upon, man. So
yeah. And the media is just it's so scary now, man. And I know I can get on a tangent about off topic about stuff, but the media can really change your perception on things or change your
oh,
understanding. And it's so sick nowadays that we take just about all of our news and our information from a cell phone.
word.
From social media is sick.
Well, and not to blame one side, but there are people that watch Fox News. You know, half of the country will say, "Yeah, let's hear what Russia has to say." No, like we can't be taking in fascist talking points and pretending like it's a good idea. Like, come on now, you know.
Yeah,
So
it's so hard to form your own, like for people to form their own opinion nowadays.
yeah, everybody's got one. As far
Yeah.
let's talk about the I don't know if we got into it, the NCAA tournament obviously getting started tonight, but what do you recall about playing in the tournament, man? Like that had to have been a big deal because most you may not ever get back once you get an opportunity.
I would say that it's the best form of basketball that I've played. I don't think any, you know, overseas or high school, I think the state championship was special, but the NCAA tournament, it's just got a different feel. It's got a different energy. It's got a different tone, a vibe to it. You show up and you practice and you realize that, hey, this could be it.
Right.
And I think every team, is why you see so many upsets year to year, is every team feels that this could be it. This is our one shot. This is our one chance
Mm-hmm.
to play at this level. And that's where the magic happens. I know you've watched some wild things where somebody hits a half court buzzer beater, or
Yep.
a team come down from 25 and win the game, or Arizona loses to Buffalo. It's just so much wild stuff that goes on in the tournament. And I think it's the feeling that it gives you of this could be it. This is our one chance, one shot to play in this tournament. Some people get to play in it all the time, but once you get there, you'll realize like this is not normal. This is a special opportunity that we have to play this game.
Well, and was it emotional for you when ultimately you were knocked out of the tournament? Of man, now it's over. You know.
Yeah, it's because I sucked. It was my last NCAA game, and we played North Carolina, which they ended up winning the national championship, so I can't be too mad.
Right.
But I was like 3 for 11, 1 2 for 8 from. It was awful. I was bad, and that part was the hardest to live down. Like I let all my teammates down when if I go 6 for 11, we probably have a chance to win the game. You
Right.
know, so that I think that part about it was hard, and just knowing that, hey, my career is over. And, you got to deal with that too.
Yeah. Well, and I've talked to other athletes on the show. It probably felt like you lost a job once the playing career
Facts.
was over. Like, how did it change your day to day as a student athlete? You're probably like, I got all this time.
Yeah, man. It's like you said, it feel like you lost your job. I never thought about it that way, but that's exactly the feeling that I felt. Not having practice anymore. Not because once it's over, it's like the coaches just, well, thanks, and they go find the next you. So
Right. Right.
I think that part of it's hard. The NCAA doesn't necessarily give you let's say an exit plan,
Right.
or a safety net. Like once it's over, you're done. You go find a job and you go live the rest of your life with this degree that you earned. So, and I would say that basketball creates so much of your social identity. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
everybody loves you when you're contributing and winning games. You hear from everybody, and once the season's over with, it's like shit goes dark. Like,
Yep.
damn, where my friends at? Where the fans at? Where did everybody go? You know what I mean? That's kind of like the feeling you get sometimes.
Do you feel like you could call on one of your coaches to help you out if you needed it?
Yes, I could, but I've hit some of my coaches up, just checking on them, just
Right.
kind of touching base, and they act. I don't understand why coaches act this way. Like they short text you to the point to where it's like, all right, I appreciate you hitting me up. Bye. It's just like they seem like they just so damn busy. Like, and when you hit them up, it's like, no, I ain't got no jobs right. Like they immediately think you want something from them. Like you can't just hit them up to see how they doing. Like it's kind of weird the way coaches act. That's me in my opinion. Now I'm not saying all coaches are like that, but sometimes coaches can be a little iffy. Like, why are you? acting like that. Like I'm just
Right.
checking in. Like, why are you trying to hurry me off the phone? It's kind of weird, man.
Well, and they're dealing with their own $1 million contract that they're trying to keep.
Oh,
So
what a burden.
yeah, yeah. So occupied with my millions of dollars.
Right.
Joey and I laughed too that like Archie got paid 10 million to not coach at Indiana or something like that. I forget what his settlement was, but it was multi-millions of dollars to not coach at Indiana.
Yeah,
So
just to get out of your contract and let's go hire somebody else.
just to bring Woodson in. So, and we'll see how it goes this March with them. So
They played okay. They've been pretty good this year though. They've been pretty good.
pretty
The
good.
Hoosiers have. The Hoosiers have, yeah.
And Purdue's a number 1 seed having to play. So I don't know. We'll have to see, man. Have you been watching a team? You have a favorite going into this tournament?
I think Alabama, from what I've seen of
Yeah.
the teams, Alabama seems to be the most complete team. They got the best player in the NCAA in Brandon Miller, I think, and then the best supporting cast.
Yeah.
Two, 3 good guards that can get downhill and create and shoot. 2 legit bigs, some wings that can rebound and defend. So I think they're the most complete team. Houston kind of showed their hand against Memphis a little bit,
Yeah.
showing that they can be outplayed and out hustled and game planned against. Purdue's the only number 1 seed that I look at, and it's like I could see them losing early.
Oh, people are terrified that Memphis is going to come in and just be way more athletic than them and beat them.
I think that they should be afraid to play Memphis if I don't know who they got first, that which I'm assuming they'll win,
Yeah.
but they should be afraid to see an athletic, experienced Memphis team in the second round. I think that's a tough matchup to have for the second round of the tournament. That's kind of crazy.
Matt Painter's not going anywhere, but I think he's a little nervous to have some postseason success. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
see.
he's been there forever. He ain't, like you said, he's not going anywhere.
Avery, to wrap this up, man, what are you hoping to be a coach in the future? What's some of your future ambitions?
Man, I would say so, man. I genuinely enjoy just being in the gym. Because I train kids whenever I'm not, whenever I'm not playing, and I want to be in the gym all the time. And when I'm working out, like sometimes I have to check the clock because sometimes I get so in the workout or so enamored with helping people get better at the game of basketball that I lose track of time. It may be 2 hours going by if somebody don't, tap me on the shoulder and say, "Hey, you've been in here too long." It's that type of feeling and passion that I have for basketball. So I do see myself coaching. I just don't know what level I'd like to pursue yet, just because college is so political. To actually get into coaching is kind of, I don't want to say extreme because it's not extreme, but you got to know the right people. The certain people have to trust you to be able to give you an opportunity. So it's a lot that goes into it, but I definitely see myself around the game of basketball for a long time to come, for sure.
Well, it's something else I was excited about, man, because I'm a podcasting nerd. You have your own podcast, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, plug it for us. What is it?
Yeah, my podcast is called From One to Another. It's on Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you can find podcasts. I started it just because I like to sit down and talk about certain things, and I called it From One to Another just because a lot of motivation and a lot of motivation that people get come from other people. It's other people's stories or perspectives that we receive that we apply to our own lives. So I just try to get people on and talk to them about their stories and their perspectives on different things, just to get it out there, and because it may help somebody else. We've all been through certain things. We've all been through adversity, struggles, good times, bad times, and to be able to share that for somebody else to listen is something I feel like I could be doing.
Yeah, everybody's got a story, man. You and I are in agreement there.
Yeah.
How can folks reach out and contact you if they feel compelled?
Campaign _ Ave on Instagram, Avery Woodson on Facebook. Follow the podcast on Instagram at From One to Another. And that's about it. I'm not putting my cell phone number on here, but
Sure.
that's how you can reach me on social media.
Fair enough, man. Thank you for being here. Awesome to talk with you, man.
Oh man, no problem. I'm gonna have to get you on my podcast one day, Jimmy, when you're not so busy, bro.
Anytime, my man. Hey, folks, to hear this again, you can check out my website, jbkonair.com. You can also get the show anywhere that you podcast by searching JBK ONAIR. And until next time, have a great day and a better tomorrow.